Okay, hello, co-creators, which is always what I say when I start YouTube stuff. This is my amazing Ash, who has been doing SSP for, actually, I should find out when was your first session? Since July
After
15th.
July.
Yep. So July, August, September, October, November, December, January. We're at 6 months. We just started hour three. And over the past couple of weeks, you have been telling me about the remarkable shifts that are happening in your life. And I just wanted to be able to share this with everyone because you have really just been so willing and open and consistent with this. And it really is profound what has happened in your life. So I wanted to invite
Yes,
you
it
to
is.
talk a little bit about it. So, what if we just start with this idea of the allowing support? That
Yeah.
has been one of the initial things that started to feels like tip the scales. In
Yep.
the beginning, you were having a lot of symptoms from your POTS.
hmm
And if you'd be willing to talk a little bit about that last big hurrah of the
Yep.
POTS
Sounds great.
and yeah, share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a long time coming spiral. My sister and her family came to visit, and I was just spiraling high. Feels manic to me when I'm like that, and just very anxious about everything. But like symptomatically, I'm a nurse. For 12 hours, I'm up and moving, and I was feeling very spacey.
Hmm.
That is like the most profound one I can remember, is just feeling very scared because of how spacey I felt, like
Hmm.
something horrible was happening in my body or in my brain. Um and then just my gut was not okay. I wasn't able to eat food properly. I know my blood sugar drops, so I'm like constantly always feeling like I need to eat, and that's what it was feeling like lightheaded, dizzy, kind of like a sinking, like a
Hmm.
concavey, sinky feeling.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I've been feeling like that at work after my family had gone home, and that was kind of like what broke me was that day at work where I broke at work. Had to lay on the floor, put my feet above my head, and just kind of stuck it out. And then I was very angry that I had stuck it out.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I went to my doctor, who, I mean, I was kind of in a panic. And after listening to me, I said, I would actually like to send you to the ER. And at the very least, to get fluids. If you have
Hmm.
POTS, then fluid can be a big uh,
Yeah.
factor in it. And she thought for sure that something else autoimmune was going on.
Hmm.
And I've been tested for lots of autoimmune things over the years because it very much presents as autoimmune stuff. Um, Very resistant to allowing that to happen. My sister had to talk me into it.
Hmm.
My daughter had to give me permission, essentially, to do it. So I stayed for a night, and I got fluids, and I didn't feel better really.
Hmm.
Um, but after having gone there, and then I had a follow up with my doctor, and we were talking, she said, I see you've been on Zoloft. Would you be open to trying it? And I'm like, I was at my wit's end. So I was like, I will take anything.
Hmm.
I need to be able to function, you
Hmm.
know. So I started taking Zoloft,
Hmm.
and
So real quick, just how long had you been off of it and talk a little bit about how in that moment you felt willing because it had got so bad, but there had been a time period of real resistance to receiving
oh
that
yeah,
form of help,
I'm
right?
bypassing my resistance, aren't I?
Yeah.
Um, So I had taken Zoloft after my second baby for postpartum because I had
Mhm.
postpartum depression, anxiety, real bad with my
Mhm.
first one. So again, I was like, I will do anything to not feel that way. And like when I took it that time, I just felt subdued, like a very level got through whatever, like
Mhm.
nothing was spiking me.
Mhm.
And then I was on it for probably like 4 or 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then weaned myself off of it. And because I had come to a very different point in life and a different understanding of things, and was like, oh, I can do this myself. And I felt really great, for a time period.
Mm-hmm.
And the panicky wasn't there. Well, no, I guess it all kind of was still there, and I was just calling it something else, maybe.
Yeah. And you were, some of that drive was some of this like spiritual philosophy.
Yes,
Like I
100%.
should be able to
Yes,
spiritualize myself out of this. And just to be clear, I have no feelings about medication versus no medication, but I just think it's important for people to hear
yes,
how you kind of went in this direction of eliminating this resource around, and correct me if I'm wrong, some pressure around like a spiritual, I should be able to do this without this. And that was something that you shared with me up front when we started
yes,
working together, was
yeah,
that that was not a resource you were willing to use because you wanted to be able to do the nervous
do
system
this.
work specifically so that you wouldn't have to use that resource.
Yep.
And I had, I had respected that. But then, you had this real flare up,
Mm-hmm.
and a turning point of willingness. And we had
Talk to
talked,
you a bunch through
yeah,
it.
I was
Yep.
gonna say we had talked a
Mm-hmm.
number of times about how, from my perspective, you know, I really love the spiritual stuff. I could talk all day about it. I think it's so
Mm-hmm.
fun. And
Mm-hmm.
then I often just get reminded, oh, but you're in this body, and this physical
Yep.
body is dealing with this total wonky system environment.
That
And
was one of those things, wasn't it? I'm having the correct response to my
yes,
environment. Yeah, that was like my
yes,
mantra at the beginning, taking Zoloft.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Say more about that.
Well, I mean, because so when I first started it, I was still a little like, I was down to take it because I wanted the help, but I still had that like, better. Why can't you
Oh,
function better kind of
yeah,
feeling? Yeah.
yeah,
Which is mean. You told me very much. Not very much. The way I needed to hear it was,
yeah. Talk
you're
about
not
that
being very nice.
session. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
that
not
was
being
a
very nice
real
to
tough
yourself.
one.
Yeah, yeah. And it's exactly what I needed to hear. Because those are the moments that remind me, like, why are you being so hard on yourself? Like, because I don't do
Mhm.
this to other people. I'm a nurse.
Mhm.
I don't I say use the help. Why aren't you using the help? Like, but for some reason to me, it's like because I have this understanding of some sort of high level spirituality thing that I should be functioning as such. Even logically realizing you have been traumatized for however many years, this is where your nervous system's at, but apparently I'm supposed to be uh, superhuman
Yeah.
and do it anyways. So, yeah, I felt a lot of comfort in thinking to myself, I am having the correct response to the environment that I live in. That was kind of empowering a little bit to take it.
Yeah. I
So,
remember that we had a conversation. I want to say that we used the work of Byron Katie to turn around a phrase. And then we had you use that phrase at the end of the night when you were typically going to bed and you were saying, like, I did everything wrong. I haven't done enough. And then do you remember
mhm.
we switched that phrase to, and you started using that at night?
Yeah, that was like one of the first ones.
Yeah, to find evidence for what did you do right today? Was that maybe
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
What did
It
you
was
do
find
right
three things.
today? Yeah.
Hmm. And then it became easier. And you said I had to get to three because some reason we want three. So yeah, I got to three, and I was looking for big examples of things, and then I realized I needed to go
Like
much.
saved 12 orphans or
Yeah,
something. It's
yeah,
like,
I did that right today. Um, and then I started to allow myself to see the small things that I did
teeny
right, and
tiny.
then once that happened and it flipped, I mean, it was easy. And it was easy in the end because I was having a very concave chest feeling at night, feeling like I couldn't breathe. It's so funny to talk about that now because I don't. remember almost what
Yeah,
that
it was
felt
like
like.
really scary because that would take you down the thought process of, or now I'm going to have another POTS situation.
Yeah, my body
And
can't handle this. Yeah.
we also had talked about that your original doctor, she recommended the Zoloft, but she also recommended the daily breathing exercises,
Mm.
right?
Well,
They
she was receptive to it.
right. And for whatever reason, you knew that there had been another period in your life where you had done daily breathing and you
That was
had
my
let it go.
therapist. Yes.
Okay,
And I
okay.
had, yeah, when I had done, that's why I think I had this idea that I could do this myself because I had done it with breathing, but that was at the very, like, that was my awakening
Mm-hmm.
time when
Mm-hmm.
you're flying high on all
Yeah,
the information.
yeah.
And I was practicing breathing like nobody's business. And I did. I calmed my nervous system to the point where I did not have pop symptoms. So I think that's what again made me feel like you should be able to do this because you had done it, but
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
obviously aren't in the practice anymore and you don't have that whatever that is in the beginning of that rush of information. It's a rush, you
Sure.
know,
And
and very
also, like,
motivating.
you're a different human at this point than you were at that point. Like, that's the
Yeah,
other thing about the allowing support. It's like allowing support as it, like,
changes.
yeah, as it changes.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to use the necessarily same supports that I use now. Like, we need to be always checking them and like recalibrating them in the same way that you
Yep.
do with a nurse for people's medication. Like, okay, is it
Yep.
not working? Does it need to be shifted? So let's talk a little bit about the like current maybe prescription that is being so supportive right now that you're using. So you've got the Zoloft, you've got the breathing. Talk a little bit about what breathing you use. You use heart math, right?
Yep. I I like box breathing. I usually,
Mhm.
well, I like in for 4, hold for
Seven.
4, and then
Oh,
is it
hold for four.
7? I hold for
What
4
do
and
you
I
do?
breathe out for 7.
Perfect.
That's just what my body ends up doing in the
I
end.
love it.
And then I hold it for 4. It's 4, 4, 4, 7 for me. My body wants a nice big exhale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do that thing that you told me because I would wax and wane with doing it. And at the end of my night, I like to color. So before I'm allowed to start my book and start coloring, I do 3 minutes, and it ends up going longer because once I'm in there doing it, I'm quite happy breathing and find myself doing it for longer until my body's like, okay, what are we
So you
doing?
have this wind down time at night and you love your coloring time. And we found that the coloring you were doing with SSP was like that was feeling so good. So we wanted to build in that. And so then you set it up so you have to do your 3 minutes of breathing before you can get to your coloring time and your audiobook
Mm-hmm.
time, which is a really helpful wind down before night. Amazing. And then you've also been doing really focusing on when your kids who you share custody of are with their other parent, you keep your activity real low so
Yep.
that you get a lot of rest and resourcing. So talk a little bit about your resistance to that plan.
Yep. That was that was very resistant. I felt like a piece of crap because
Mm-hmm.
my body couldn't get up and do things, like I
Mm-hmm.
um felt like I should be able to. Again, I have this thing of I should be able to. But yeah, I mean, my body would end up forcing it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that last spiral was you're dizzy as soon as you sit up. So you're literally not even allowed to sit up now.
Yeah.
You will lay down.
And I
So
remember there was a period of time where you were like so knocked out that there was like, I don't know, weeks of you just like being in bed and watching shows and
yep,
listening to audiobooks. And you were like,
yep,
I'm never going to have friends. I'm never going to
yep.
go out to
I
dinner
did.
again. I'm not like all my friends are going to hate me. Like, I'm not going to ever do anything fun in my life ever again because this is the only thing. So, like,
Yeah, I did.
is
I
it
did
that
feel that way.
severe anymore?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, not it. That's really not existent at all. I now love this time. I crave it. I look forward to it. And then, but it's also because I think I have had, like over this Christmas break, it has been a total change up in my schedule. And to watch my body handle it and enjoy the spontaneity and being able to meet it and not
Mm-hmm.
crash
Mm-hmm.
is so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, my body has been coming to this end as of last night, right? Where it was like, you need to stop. You've been
Mm-hmm.
doing this for a couple weeks now, and you've met all of them, and it's been great and fun. But now it's time to be in bed for a while again,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally fine with that. Um, yeah, I remember telling you about wanting to be a better friend to one of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because I totally view that differently too. Because I'm like, no, I actually am. I'm here. I've learned how to take care of me.
Yeah.
And then I've also learned a little bit about her. And like, I know her nervous system's a little, wackadoodle too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not what she's addressing at the moment. So it's something that I'm just aware of and okay with now. And so I don't have that pressure on me of going, oh, you're the piece of shit friend. It's actually not what's happening. You're just taking
Oh,
care of yourself.
yes.
And now I can see that she may not be taking care of herself very well. And now that I am available to her for things, she just moved, like a huge move. And like,
Mm.
I want to be there for her. She has a small kid. There's this, there's that. She actually will reach out for the help. I'll say, okay, this is when I can help. And then she doesn't allow it. And then I recognized,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, you're not allowing it.
I did this before too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that grace that and understanding that you've given to your own nervous system, this is why I believe this is one of the most powerful things we can do to improve the whole world. It allows us to then start giving that grace to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen that come online with your co-parent, which was
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning one of the most intense, excruciating,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you use your words, but very challenging
Mm-hmm.
situation. And how have you seen that shift through this process of getting to know how to support yourself and being more resourced to show up to that relationship?
So yeah, those are good words actually. Like when you said them, I was like, oh, and I'm like, no, that's actually that's actually correct. I'm uh, there was nothing worse than that feeling at that time. So yeah, that was excruciating. Um, I'm not the first thing is I'm not scared anymore. I think I just was straight up scared every single time something came up. I mean, literally the ding of his message because like
Yeah,
I had to change the
yeah,
tone.
yeah, yeah.
And like you told me, well, maybe that'll be like a tool instead of just reacting to it immediately. You go, oh, this is when I'm supposed to breathe. So
Mm.
I've also, when I hear it, I go, and we're gonna breathe.
Before
So I
you
do
even look at it, right?
before I even look at it. Yeah. Because that fear, I mean, it's just so, I mean, it's immediate.
Yeah,
I feel it rush through my body, that whole
right.
adrenaline rush thing,
Yeah,
and I don't even know what it's about.
yeah, yeah. And your
Yeah.
body's right initially, because
Mm-hmm.
historically it has been something that is validly concerning. And now you're giving yourself a chance to be like, let me take care of you, fear,
Yep.
first, rather than just reacting from it. Oh,
And that's been very beneficial to
yeah.
not react. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still slide.
Yeah.
I see it every now and then where I'm just like, oh, you may have gone a little quick there, but for the most part, no. I'm very calm in the last couple weeks has been a testament to it because it has been very challenging.
Yeah. I think what is cool to notice is that your co-parenting relationship has shifted within you, even though the
Nothing has
actual
changed.
right, you're experiencing the same level of distress as less stressful
Yes.
because you've created this willingness to allow for support and you've resourced your nervous system so significantly that now this doesn't create the same kind of reaction in you that it previously did. And that's
Yes.
sort of like my main message to the world is you don't have to make the stuff change. You can change you, and the stuff's still going to be stressful because, but it's not going to tip you over the edge like it did before. And you're going to be able to make decisions according to your values, like asking for help and asking for guidance and being cautious about how you interact with your kids around it and, having genuine, like, kindness for your ex while taking care of yourself, like all these things that weren't on the table before.
Right.
Simply
And
because you're breathing and doing art.
Yes. Yes.
Which is
And
extraordinary.
SSP.
Yeah, and the SSP.
And the SSP. The flexibility that has been allowed, I believe, is the SSP 100%, because it knows how to respond to the stimuli, right? So I have exercised it, and I have noticed so much flexibility, and I give myself a little check you out. Look at that flexibility you just did. Yeah.
It's so worth celebrating.
Yeah.
So the last piece that I really wanted you to share is like the example of the incredible resourcing and flexibility that you showed last night. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
So the last couple of weeks has been a lot, right? And my nervous system has, and like I would say yesterday for sure, the day before it was like, hello, we need to slow down here. We're coming to the ends of our battery. And I was like, okay, I hear it. I got it. And it was winter break. I wasn't surprised. I was like, yep, got it. And I actually got off of work early. Somebody wanted to work my last 4 hours, and I was like,
thank you, universe.
Yep, battery, yep. Yep. I am telling you, it is all over the place. So I came home early, found out my daughter had actually fractured her foot yesterday. So I was able to go and see and provide the big sock to fit over her shoe for the first day of school tomorrow, or whatever. So that was nice to be able to do that. Left and came home and took care of myself, showered, ate cabbage soup, which might have helped this process along. And then I was sitting with my mom and talking to my mom, and we were having quite passionate conversation where I could feel my body getting tense. And so again, it
Your
felt
nervous system was defending
an exertion.
Itself.
Yeah. I could feel the exertion of it. And like I said, my belly had been a little messed up for a couple weeks, and that definitely has something to do with my vagal nerve there. And if that's not functioning properly, I can tell it's being bothered. It's another nice little poke at it. So all of those things combined, and my body telling me already, and then I just happened to have this nice conversation with my mom where I'm just I even told her, I'm so tense now. Why are we talking about this? We need to stop.
But you were so aware of that.
So aware of it, 100% aware of it.
Wouldn't have been something you would have been able to identify before.
Right. So totally aware. Go to bed, do my wind down thing where I listen to my book, do my breathing, do my coloring. And I just felt this sinking sensation of you need to eat food. Something's happening. You're dropping blood sugar. Pushed through it a little bit, I will be honest. But was still saying I hear you. I'm just going to finish this and I'm going to go get some food. And I go and I get food and I think I'm hungry and I'm eating a couple bites of it. And then I'm no, the spaciness feeling had come back where I'm just what's happening? It's almost like your nerves are on end and you can feel the air brushing against them.
The buzzing of the pre-fainting.
Yes. It's okay, we're getting real spacey. Yeah. And I've had these stomach aches for years. Didn't really understand the message behind them, but now I do. And I could tell that that's what was happening. And these stomach aches always present themselves as right up high, will clamp right around that vagal nerve and just drops my blood pressure. I start sweating profusely. I want to pass out.
Yep.
And while my colon evacuates itself.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I learned my body enough to know what was happening, but like I was also very aware at the same time, like, oh, I see how this got to this point. I
You
see
saw
you.
the connection between that response and the defense response with the triggering conversation. So
Yes.
that's what I'm loving is you saw how the fear in that
Mm-hmm.
conversation resulted in a physiological
Relief.
shutdown. Yeah.
Yep.
Or
Oh
release.
yeah.
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 Okay. Keep
It
going.
felt to me, it felt like a release. Like you are going to get all of that out of your body now
Yeah.
through every pore.
Right.
When I say dripping sweat, I am
Yeah.
dripping sweat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it does not end until my colon is empty. So
Right.
it's like you are
Clears you
going to get
out.
rid of all of it.
Yep.
And I usually call for somebody because I am fearful of passing out by myself.
Yep.
And because of the awareness that I was having and understanding of how I got here, I was like, no, you can do this. And I had actually proven myself the last like 5 times that it's happened that you have been able to breathe through it and keep conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, no, you can do this. So yeah, I just sat and it honestly, because like I've also learned I have to breathe and I have to go limp. And
Yep.
the limpness is like it's just like you
Yeah.
can't try
Not
and
the holding on,
yeah,
the letting go.
yeah, you have to
And you kept your
100%.
paced breathing. Did you
Yeah.
do your box breathing or was it that serious or
No,
you just kept focusing on just continuing to breathe?
the focus is so small where it's just
Hmm.
in and out. We're
Hmm.
just going
Hmm.
in and out and I can't
Hmm.
move. You can't talk to me. The
Yes.
light can't be on. I can have no other stimulation that's
Yes.
happening because I am literally holding on to consciousness. So breathing's amazing.
Yes. So you focused on your breathing. The pain was there. You were saying, okay, I get it. What were you saying I get it about?
um, you're at the end of your reserve here and you need to rest.
Hmm.
You need to not expend any extra energy. You need to fill up again.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that conversation that you were engaged in was a tipping point too much. Yeah, you
100%.
don't need to do that. You
You
need
were
to,
already feeling you had just been let off of work early. What are you doing?
yeah, why are
Yeah,
you pushing it
indeed.
instead of resting? Yeah.
Yep.
And so your body was doing a really incredible, responsible job of guiding you towards what it knew you needed, which when we first started, you, correct me if I'm wrong, seemed to really experience your body as sabotaging you.
Yeah, I think I said it shit out on me all the time, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very mean thing. And now it's like, hello.
And
I'm
so
just,
it sounds like you were able to really say, I hear you, thank you. I'm going
oh,
to give
yes.
you what you need. And that there wasn't the dialogue of, what the fuck is wrong with you? Stop it.
Yeah.
You're bad. Why can't you do regular things?
Yep.
You were like, okay, I hear you. And then talk a
Yep.
little bit about typically after you would have one of these physiological, the needing to go to the bathroom and having the spaciness and the sweating and all that, typically you would feel really drained after
Yep.
that. So talk a little bit about how the after was different this time.
It was just an acknowledgement this time. I didn't feel drained after. I can always tell when it's done. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it was genuinely quick. It probably lasted no more than 15 minutes. And
Mhm.
I can have episodes that last all night.
Mhm.
Um, and feel very scared at the end of it. Is
Mhm.
how I would normally feel of
Mhm.
that it would happen again, that this would
Right.
always be what happens. And
Catastrophizing.
yeah, yeah. But this time it was just like an understanding of how it got there and acknowledging it. It was just an acknowledgement.
Mhm.
It was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Um, I'm not surprised. And then I'm like standing there washing my hands, looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm going, thank you. Like, just
Ah,
thank you for not passing out. You did a great job. Like I was, my mom woke up and I told her, I'm like, I just had one of those really horrible things and I didn't wake you up. And I was genuinely proud of myself. I know.
Ah.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh,
Ugh.
you're good. You got it.
And you slept well and you're
I
feeling
slept
how
well.
today?
Normal. A little lighter, but normal. Yeah.
Uh, it just makes me, it's like full body chills and just so grateful because what was required was this really intense willingness for you over the past 6 months. Because a lot of this stuff, when I first said it, it was, I mean, it's like, that is not what's happening. My body's just like shitty and I'm going to do this spiritual thing and I got to get my body in line.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're partnering with
Yeah.
your body
Yeah.
and you're able to thank it. Like
Hmm.
that's just I'm so and you're only at the beginning of hour three, people. Like I want to make clear the SSP like maybe has had something to do with this, but you building this trusting and appreciative relationship with your body and yourself is what has done this because there's very little filtration in the first 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It was a lot of willingness.
the
Um,
the reason why I tell people like SSP is cool. It gives us a way to like facilitate this experience, but
mhm.
the relationship is what the whole thing is. And
Yeah.
you were really kind of cruel to
Yes.
yourself. And I remember feeling a little nervous about how to say that to you. Like, I just don't
You and
really
my
know
therapist.
what to say, but you're just kind of being an asshole.
Yes, that's what you said. Yeah. Yeah. And me, I'm open to you people telling me that because have my whole life for some reason have had this
Oh,
idea of myself that you should be able to.
yeah, so
And
much
like
pressure.
I and I yeah, so it's like I have a lot of things that happen like with people with school or whatever, like things that had come so simply for me and they'd look at me like how and I'm like
Hmm.
as much as people has the how inside
Hmm.
of me, I
Hmm.
felt like the what? Like what do you
Hmm.
mean? Like of
Yeah.
course this is how this functions, and I'm just oh, it's not nice.
Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Well, I am just so grateful to have been in this process with you. It's been so phenomenal. And I just said to you, we're like just starting hour three. Like the next installment of this is going to be so fun to share. So we'll definitely come back and do that soon.
Cool.
Thank you so much. And yeah, everybody, you can look for a sequel and we'll have even more fun things to talk about, I'm sure. All
For
right.
hour three. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay. Bye. Goodness. Pause.